Some 10% of U.S. online ad spending is expected to go to social media this year. So how to get some of that coin? Well, RadiumOne founder and CEO, I should say, Gurbaksh Chahal has a plan for getting some of that money. Now, it's one you want to hear about. After all, this is a guy who sold his first ad network for $40 million at age 18 and sold his next company to Yahoo for $300 million at age 25. So you're an underachiever. We've established that. RadiumOne is an interesting idea for a company. You started this, what, 18 months ago?
Yeah.
And the way I understand it is there's Facebook, and then there's a lot more social media out there. Explain to me. What's the elevator pitch?
10% of the web is time spent is Facebook. 90% is the rest of the web. And while everybody is basically look at social, they just think of Facebook. You look at all of these bigger companies like Google, who's still trying to build a platform against Facebook. You look at Yahoo, who's trying to still be Yahoo. AOL is reinventing itself. And you have really no one saying, what's the good alternative? How do you bring that social advertising experience to the rest of the web? And we've basically done that by aggregating immense amount of data. And what we realize is that when you actually share something to the rest of the web, you're actually building a share graph, which is actually a much, much more closer connection of people that you interact with. And if we can,
let me paraphrase. So you look at everything outside of Facebook. Facebook may be the dark hole in the center of the universe.
Walled garden, yeah.
Walled garden. Okay, that's a much nicer place. But around it are all these usages of the internet. And what you're doing is connecting the dots between the users to see where like-minded users might gravitate, even though it's across different websites.
Yes. So you could, let's say, copy-paste an article and send it on an email. You share it through a URL shortener. You use a sharing widget. All this stuff is behind the scenes. You're actually saying, I'm influencing someone else. So that is a direct connection versus kind of on Facebook. You could have people on your social graph that could be people that you went to school with 20 years ago, but you don't interact with and probably have nothing in common with, versus someone that you're interacting with the rest of the web. That's probably the most targeted response that an advertiser is looking for. And we're essentially one of the first companies, if not the biggest company, bringing that to the rest of the web.
Gurbaksh, you actually made some news today. Before we go any further, you raised a new round of funding. How much and what are you going to use that money for?
We raised $21 million in our Series B today. We actually achieved profitability in Q4, and before that raised $12.5 million, which is a lion's share we still have. So the reason we raise this money is precisely for two reasons. Number one, we see ourselves as on an accelerated growth path, and we're actually going to be an acquirer in the space, actually acquiring companies that we've spent a lot of time looking at. And then, we just recently launched the UK. So the UK has loved our arrival of bringing social to the rest of the web, and we plan on opening up other markets such as France, Germany, and Australia later this year as well.
So my question is, why aren't Google and Yahoo, why aren't they doing this?
Well, Google is still trying to go ahead and I think build a platform. And that will probably rival Facebook. We don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it'll happen, but I think that's what primary Google's focus is. And if you look at some of the other bigger companies like Microsoft, they're essentially a partner of Facebook. And to us, we kind of see this as a wide open hole that we're trying to fix, because nobody's really trying to fix or build an alternative to the rest of the web. And since we're the most ahead of the curve, we have a great opportunity in front of us.
So let me ask you this fundraising. So first of all, I love the idea that you're profitable. You barely used the first round. Now you just raised another $21 million. What's the valuation of the whole company at this point?
We're a private company, but we can't disclose that.
But just really quickly, this is interesting because it's a profitable company already. You're getting valued at a reasonable valuation, unlike some of these companies we also see in the private markets, maybe trying to sell shares to accredited investors. Is that something that interests you guys?
Not at this point right now. I think, we're in a unique situation where all three of my companies have always been revenue-driven, profitable-driven. They're not companies that you kind of see that are more or less about features and don't worry about revenue and profitability. So I think if all goes well, I mean, we pretty much could be an IPO candidate for next year.
We'll keep our eyes open. Gurbaksh Chahal, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.